It's kind of important. We'll get into that a little bit later. But thank you for showing up this morning. It's a holiday weekend. It's a challenge for everybody. I'm glad y'all are here. We got a great sermon, very motivating sermon this morning. And I know the worship's going to be great, so I'm going to get out of the way and turn it over to the worship team.
Good morning, everybody. Let's stand and worship together. Come on, let's sing together. Your love is like radiant diamonds bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. And may this offering stretch across the sky, and these hallelujahs be multiplied. Let's sing all that again. Your love is. Your love is like a radiant diamond bursting inside us. We cannot contain. And your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. Come on, sing it with me. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. And may this offering stretch across the sky, and these hallelujahs be multiplied. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, oh, I have surrendered to your design. And may this offering stretch across the skies, and these hallelujahs be multiplied. Oh, these hallelujahs be multiplied. Thank you very much. Y'all may be seated for this next one. I'm not really sure why, but me and I forced being into it, really felt like going old school this morning, so we're going to do Just As I Am for y'all. Just as I am, without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come, just as I am, and waiting not to rid my soul of one dark cloud, to thee whose blood can cleanse each spot, O Lamb of God, I come, just as I am, though tossed about with many a conflict, many a doubt, fightings and fears within, without, O Lamb of God, I come, just as I am, thou wilt receive, will welcome, pardon, cleanse, relieve, because thy promise I believe, O Lamb of God, I come, just as I am, without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me, and that thou bidst me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come, Let's pray together this morning. God, I just come before you right now to say thank you for all the opportunities that you have given us, God, and all the blessings that you continue to give us, God, even though we don't deserve it. And God, as we go into this next song, I just pray for the hearts and minds of everyone here, God, that they just open up and let go of everything holding them back from worshiping you this morning, God, that they just abide in you this morning, God. Let your spirit come down and fill this place, God, and let us just be a part of this worship, this face-to-face worship that only you can provide us. And that's in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. There's a peace I've come to know, though my heart and flesh may fail, but there's an anchor for my soul, and I can say it is well. Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. The will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God. Follow my knees and rise. Oh, I will rise. Sing with me. There's a day that's drawing near, when this darkness breaks to light and the shadows disappear, and my faith will be mine. Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. The victory is won. He is risen from the dead, and I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God. Follow my knees and rise. Oh, I will rise, and I hear the voice of many angels sing, worthy is the Lamb, and I hear the cry of every longing heart, worthy is the Lamb. Oh, I hear the voice of many angels sing, worthy is the Lamb, and I hear the cry of every longing heart, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. The victory is won. He is risen from the dead.
Sometimes we do things that are a little confusing. We have mattress sales and barbecues on a day that we don't even necessarily understand. A lot of us are too far removed to remember the generation that pulled us through World War II, especially. The people that like, we're so detached that people don't even realize that people gave their lives so that you are sitting here today, right? So that tomorrow, for those of you who have the day off, you can do whatever you're going to do. Whether it be go to the beach, sit around the pool, sit in your backyard. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. It is not Veterans Day. Remember the difference. It's not to take anything away from veterans, because I honestly believe that they deserve our praise and respect for choosing to serve. But this is about the people that gave all. The people that didn't come home. The people that put their trust in God, that although that they might be in a comfortable position, He's got it. And there's a lot of them. You have the ability to sit here this morning and listen to this sermon because of them. So have a good time tomorrow, because they want you to. But stop and remember them. Just take a minute out of your day tomorrow and remember them. There are two, I guess we'll call them holidays. Not holy days, but holidays that I take very seriously. One is Independence Day, the other is Memorial Day. The rest of them, you can keep them all. Not talking about Easter and Christmas, those are holy days. Yeah, anyway. So we've been talking about individualism, why it's so important, right? The fact that you're created by God, you're special in God's eyes. You're never supposed to see yourself as special. You're only supposed to see God as special. But you're special because you were created by God for a specific purpose, and He put you on this earth at this time for that purpose, whatever it is. You may or may never figure it out. And as long as you're trying and you associate the fact that you were created for a special purpose and you just try your best to live for that purpose, then you're living a pretty decent life. And you will find that as you go through life, you may not ever experience the things you expect, but what you do experience will be profound. Right? We all have. My life, and I know this is everybody's story, but my life did not turn out anything like I imagined when I was 10 years old, or 15, or 20, or 25, or 30. But it's been fantastic. There's this thing that Jesus teaches us, that He doesn't hide from us, because Jesus never hid anything. There was never anything done in secret, right? He doesn't hide it from us, but He's worried about us to the point that it's a bitter pill that He shoved in a piece of candy when He gave it to us. I want to show you that this morning. It's actually very beautiful. And it'll help you sort of navigate. I'm not a doom and gloom person, although most people tend to see me that way. But you're coming up on some hard times. Y'all don't realize it probably, but you are. I mean, stuff is going to get ugly. You know, you look at the used car market, and you think, okay, this logically does not make sense. You look at the housing market. There's houses selling above asking price without people even looking at them. They're just signing the paper saying, I want this house. There's something wrong. All of that is going to fall apart. And, you know, those people that paid for a house, you know, a $600,000 house that's worth $250,000, they're going to be in a lot of trouble when that valuation comes back down. Those people that get these car notes for, what is it? Now they're allowing, is it 10 years they're allowing now? Which if you think about that, who's owned a car for 10 years that, you know, is reliable daily driver? Nobody. If you own a car for more than 10 years, chances are it's probably a garage princess. Meaning you've put a lot of money into it and you take care of it, right? So all of these people are buying these cars, and the reason why the used car market has gone absolutely insane is because there's a chip shortage, which then doesn't allow new cars to be sold at 10-year notes. So you now have a car that you bought 4 or 5 years ago that is worth more than the day that you bought it. That should do two things to you. One, it should wake you up and make you realize that something is very wrong in the economy. And the second thing it should do is show you how little your dollar is now worth. Right? If you're able to sell a 5-year-old car for the price that you bought it, it doesn't mean that the used car market is insane. It means the used car market is insane and your dollar's not worth dirt. Trouble's coming. But the thing is all of you in this room, every single one of you, have been through trouble before. It may not be the scale we're looking at. Every single one of you has been through a tough time. Every single one of you has been through something where you look at it and you're like, I'm not sure how I get to the other side. But you did. And the thing is, you know, we're supposed to look back at our lives and we're supposed to remember those moments. You're supposed to look back and say, oh my gosh, I remember that day I was sitting in my car. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know whether to cry or set my car on fire or just run away to Mexico and never be seen again, right? And you replay that thing in your mind and you see that you made it through. You made it out of whatever it was that was challenging you. You're supposed to hang on to those things. You're supposed to remember them. And we make fun of people in the Bible. We read about stuff in the Bible and we're like, what is wrong with you? How could you possibly forget? You look at the apostles. Jesus feeds 5,000. There's 4,000 that need to be fed. He goes to the apostles and he's like, hey, what are we going to do? And they're like, I don't know. We don't have enough money. And you're like, 10 verses ago, Jesus literally just fed 5,000. 10 verses have gone by, and y'all can't keep it together long enough to figure out that Jesus can handle feeding the 4,000. And if we go back to the Old Testament, which is where we're going to be today, the book of Exodus drives me nuts. So the Jews are being held captive in Egypt, right? They're slaves. And God is like, let my people go. And the Pharaoh's like, shut up, God, you're stupid. And God's like, no, for real, like, let my people go. And the Pharaoh's like, now. God's like, fine, here's 10 plagues. The 10th one's going to be a real doozy. And when it comes, you're going to let my people go. And the Pharaoh basically says, bring it on. Plague after plague, bring it on, bring it on. 10th plague comes, all of a sudden, the Pharaoh's like, they're let go. Now, the slaves are now free. And Jesus, through God the Father, right, because the Trinity has always existed, Jesus has promised them a promised land. And you think to yourself, okay, well, that sounds fantastic. Like, I get it. Like, God keeps his promises. Okay, this is our problem. God keeps his promises. So if he keeps them, what is wrong? What are you forgetting? How can you not hang on to this bit of information as you go through life? Doesn't compute. We are the people from Exodus. We are the dim-witted apostles that can't remember that Jesus can feed 4,000 and 5,000. We are them. So they leave. They have nothing. They're allowed to take their livestock with them and some possessions. But it's not like, hey, the U-Haul's pulling out in 2 weeks, so, make sure you got all your stuff together. It didn't quite work out like that. It was more like, it's go time. And so, you grab what you can and you got to go. And as they're leaving, God directs them away from an army, right, out into basically the wilderness. So, like, you're going from here to Glenville. Instead of shooting down the main road, you go down the back roads. And then it kind of looks like they're trapped. Trapped because the Pharaoh sends his army after them because he's like, you know what? We need them back. That was dumb. I don't know why I let them go. Now I'm mad. God is obviously bigger and stronger than me, so let me act like a jerk and go and chase these people down. And as he's chasing them down, they're looking around like, well, why did God bring us out into the wilderness? Now we're doomed. We're trapped between the army and the Red Sea, and we have all our stuff with us, what we could bring. And goats and sheep don't swim. And that's how we make our living. We're in trouble. They start to panic and they start complaining. They start complaining about how God brought them to this place, and they start complaining about how they were better off in Egypt. God says, literally 6 hours ago, I just completed the last plague. Do you not remember the last plague? Do you not remember putting blood on your doorpost so that the angel of death would pass over you because it was killing everybody? Everybody that was firstborn male was dropping like flies, and somehow you put a little blood on your doorpost and you were able to get out. Do you not remember that? That literally happened 6 hours ago. And they're like, but we were better off when we were slaves. God says, fine. Let me show you one more time, how much I love you, how much you can trust me, and how I keep my promises. And you know what he does? He parts the Red Sea. So they can all take their sheep and their goats and all their belongings and the women and children and not worry about drowning and just walk across a bit of land that is normally an ocean. You would remember that, right? Let's just say it was like the cartoons and you're like walking literally down like through the sea, and you look to the left and there's like Megalodon just sitting there like smiling at you, right? Let's just pretend it's like that. That would blow your mind, wouldn't it? It would burn inside of your head forever. You would never, ever forget looking to the left and to the right of you, seeing a wall of water and being like, there's Megalodon, there's Nemo. I'm going to remember this day. Right? You would remember it forever. Wouldn't you? So we get to this point where it gets even worse. So they go through all of this. The 10 plagues. The parting of the Red Sea. And then they're punished. And what they're punished for is this thing where God sent them into a land of the Canaanites. And he said, go and take it. And the Canaanites, they were a powerful army. But God said, this is your land. I'm going to give this to you. And so what they were supposed to do is they were supposed to go into the land and take it over and trust that God would carry them through. What they ended up doing was they sent 12 spies. And when the 12 spies, they spent 40 days there, and, they found out that what God said was true, that, it's the land of milk and honey. Everything's fantastic. There's fresh water. There's grass for the cattle to graze on. There's fruit everywhere. It's an absolute fantastic place, but we're scared of the people that live there. So 12 of them returned back, and 10 of them are like, nah, we can't take them. 2 of them are like, yeah, we can. Again, defeated Pharaoh and his army. Again, walked through the Red Sea. Again, at the place where God took them, that he said he would take them to. And he also says that he can overcome them. You just got to do what you got to do. And again, they're filled with doubt. Numbers 13, verse 31. The men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are too strong for us. So they gave out to the sons of Israel bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone, in spying it out, is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. There also we saw the Nephilim, right, so giants. And we became like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Then all the congregation, so everybody, all of the people that survived the Pharaoh, all of the people that survived the Red Sea, all of the people that have been deposited into the promised land that God said he would give them, all of them, all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And the sons of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become plunder, and would it not be better for us to return to Egypt? Oh my gosh. So when you're reading this, how do you personally feel? When you think about the people that were freed by the Jews, how do you feel about them wanting to be led back into captivity because it is more comfortable for them to be in captivity than it is to rely on God? How do you feel about those people? Do you like them or not? Do you understand them? Do you feel for them? Because here's the problem. You are about to be set free. You are about to be unleashed into a promised land. And you're about to want to go back into captivity. Because captivity is comfortable. So let's just say that what we've got coming is a correction by God where we don't see a way out, where we feel like we're trapped. And God is saying, no. I'm taking you here on purpose so that I can bring you to the promised land, so that we can get back on track. And you and I both know that God has carried both of us through stuff in our life, right? For me, there's many incidents, some of which I am pretty sure I do not deserve. Absolutely positive I don't deserve, right? The older you get, the more experiences you have. So we're sure. How many of you here are absolutely sure that God has carried you through something that you would not have been able to make through on your own? Okay. If that's the case, then don't ever forget it. Don't ever forget it. Because what if all he wants is for you to listen to him? No matter what. So let's just say that you start getting promptings from the Lord about things that are coming. And maybe you don't understand them at first, right? And I'm not saying you're going to turn into a prophet or anything. God speaks to us through the Holy Spirit. You're all capable of receiving instruction from him, right? This is not a far-fetched thing. This happens every day. Let's say you start getting promptings from him that you don't understand. Right? I have somebody in church that after one of my sermons, I've been informed that they went and stocked up on flour and sugar. Because to them, that's what made sense for them, right? That's what they wanted to do. And so hearing that, that's not me, that's promptings from God, right? What we would call a normal, rational person would not understand. So let's say you have a prompting that, I don't know, you were about to buy a new house. And you were about to make this big change in your life. And you got a prompting to not. Trust those. I want you to start trusting those. And even if it doesn't make sense, right? You're like, well, we had all these plans. We had this whole thing mapped out, and now we're going to change it. Now we're going to throw everything, and then you get into this area where all of a sudden you start to feel uncomfortable because you're like, well, then that doesn't make sense because now I'm just going to have to completely rely on God, and I'm scared, and I don't know. And you have to remind yourself, God has already brought you through stuff you would thought you'd never get out of. He's already done it. Do not be like the apostles. Do not be like the people out of Exodus. So, New Testament would be great if they had an example of this, right? Like, I've got to go to the Old Testament. I've got to talk about, sheep and goat herders and stuff that we don't understand because we don't celebrate Passover. We're not Jewish. Crazy thing is, if we go to Matthew 10, we find our medicine covered in sugar. Jesus talks about this exact thing. But we don't pay any attention to it because we don't understand, because we've never been to the Red Sea. We've never seen 5,000 men, which means 15,000 people. Had a weird way of counting back then, doesn't even make sense. But we've never seen 5,000 men be fed. So we think. Matthew 10, is it 10? Please be 10. Yes, Matthew 10, verse 16. He's talking to the 12 apostles that he's about to send out into the world without him. Not without him, but without him, right? He's not standing there watching over them like, do it this way, do this, pay attention to this. He's like, go and do what I have shown you to do, go do it. And come back to me and let me know how it went. It's like your first day with your boss, and your boss is like, all right, you got it from here. And you're like, yeah, let's go try this out, right? First day you get your driver's license and you get in a car without your parents, right? And you're all like, open road, woo, right? That's what this is like. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. What? I thought it was like a woo moment. I thought we were supposed to be excited about this. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves, so be shrewd as serpents. Interesting that Jesus said that. And innocent as doves. How in the heck can you be as shrewd as a serpent and as innocent as a dove and be a sheep that a bunch of wolves are watching and licking their lips so that they can devour you? This sounds very confusing. Well, let me convert this for you into modern day English. And remember, I want you to think about that point in your life where you know for sure that God got you through something that you would not have been able to get through by yourself. I want you there. I want you thinking about it. I want you to remember how it felt. I want you to remember where you were, what it tasted like, what it smelled like, what you heard. I want you to think about it this morning. I want you to pretend you're standing by the Red Sea and you can smell the salt in the air and you know that death is coming after you. And I want you to let the panic rear up in your head as you realize the only way out of this is to drown in the ocean. All right? Remember where you were. You're sheep in the midst of wolves. A wolf is a pack animal. But not a pack animal like a sheep is a pack animal. A wolf is a pack animal that works to destroy. You are being sent out into a world that wants to destroy you as a Christian. A sheep, the only thing a sheep listens to is its master. And by only listening to its master, the majority of sheep look and act alike. The ones who aren't really good at being sheep get eaten by the wolves. You're standing by the Red Sea. The panic is welling up inside of you. You smell the salt water, and you can feel the death coming. Be shrewd as a serpent. Be shrewd as a serpent. Remember the serpent from Genesis? What did the serpent say? The serpent said, "You can eat the fruit, surely you shall not die." And the serpent was right, because they physically didn't die the moment that they ate the fruit, right? They weren't like, oh. They spiritually died. The moment they ate the fruit, they spiritually died. So the serpent kind of, told them a half-truth. Interesting. Jesus wouldn't ever want us to lie. He wouldn't ever want us to understand and to share half-truths, right? That's not his thing. That's not how he operates. So how could we be shrewd as a serpent? It's simple. Recognize the half-truths. Be shrewd as a serpent, not shrewd like a serpent. Be smart. When somebody promises you something that cannot be delivered and it is not coming from God, do not believe it. You have one master. You're a sheep. You have one person, one being, one feeling, one whatever you want to call it that you are to listen to. That is it. So those half-truths, be aware of them. Start paying attention to them. Avoid them. Be shrewd be shrewd as, not like. Making stuff up now. Be innocent as doves. Y'all ever seen a dove attack anybody? Y'all ever seen like a blue jay attack somebody or a mockingbird attack somebody? Yeah, you have. They're psychopaths. Blue jays are the worst. There's a blue jay in our yard, literally tries to eat my wife. Like the blue jay's only this big, right? But it literally, if it could, it would literally like spear its bill through my wife's back and then peck her until she was no more. Vicious things. You ever seen a dove do that? No, never. You know why? Because they're peaceful. Don't attack anybody. Do not attack anybody. When you are in your Exodus moment standing at the Red Sea, does God say turn around and attack the enemy? No. He says stand there. Watch this. You stand there. You be peaceful. You do not attack. Christians do not attack anybody. Ever. Do we point stuff out about people? Do we let the sheep know sometimes when there's a wolf in the pack? Yeah, but do we personally or verbally or abusively attack them? No. We state facts, not half-truths. Stand that ground, no matter what. So, again, I take you back. You're Red Sea. You're standing there. You smell the salt water. You know death is coming. You have nothing to do but listen to that one voice. Beware of men, for they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. Right? You say, well, that doesn't make sense. Synagogues, what? All a synagogue was a house of worship. You can worship anything. Right? So you can be sent to court and scourged by environmentalists. You can, again, you can suffer an ill fate in this world according to the values of the world based on the truths of God, right? So, like, regardless of what anybody tells you, regardless of how they try to half-truth it to death, regardless of how they try to get you to listen to a voice other than God's, there are and will always only be two genders, end of story. I don't care how it hurts your feelings. I don't care how it makes you feel. God doesn't care if it hurts your feelings, and God does not care how it makes you feel. It is something called the truth. Is that fair? Put that on Twitter today. Let me see what happens to you. You'll be taken into the synagogue. Put that on Facebook. Let me know how the meeting goes about why you were banned or your account was blocked or whatever it is they do nowadays. You'll be taken to the synagogue. You'll be scourged. You think I'm kidding? It's coming, right? Get ready. You've seen it, but it's coming on a small scale. It's coming for you. And so here's your Red Sea moment, right? You're standing there. You don't know what to do. The enemy, your instinct is to turn and start attacking. Your instinct is to panic. Your instinct is to listen to anything other than God. And God is simply saying, I have taken you through stuff before. I will do it again. Do not forget me. Let me finish this up for you. You will even be brought before governors and kings for my sake as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. But when they hand you over, do not worry about how or what you are to say, for it will be given you in that hour what you are to say. All of a sudden, here we have the first promise from God, and he says, what? I'll take care of it. I don't need you to gin up anything. I don't need you to think about anything. I don't need you to make anything up. I don't even need you to start working on a problem that you can't foresee because you're not God. I need you to just stand there and let me be God. What is the most important thing in your life? What is it? Say it out loud. My children, my house, my elephant collection, my stuffed bear, Piggy, my dog, Rex, a boat. What is the most important thing in your life? If the answer is not Jesus Christ, you're broken. That's truth. whether it hurts your feelings or whether you like it, whether you like to hear that or you hate it. If Jesus Christ is not the focal point, the most important thing in your life, you're broken. Fix it now before it's too late. It goes on in verse 20, it says, for it is not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of the Father who speaks in you, right? So God will actually speak for you. But whenever in verse 21 they persecute you in one city, flee to the next. For truly I say to you, will not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man comes. No, that wasn't verse 22. Verse 22 says, you'll be hated by all because of my name. But it is the one who has endured to the end that will be saved. Here's the key. So now I want to wrap this up, right? Logan's going to come up here. I don't know if everybody's coming up this morning or not. They're going to lead you through this thing that we do, personal worship time, and this is your opportunity to connect, right? So we worship at the beginning of service to call the presence of God. Now that he's here and he's led this sermon, you can now sit and bask in his holiness. And that's what I want you to do. But I want you to bask in his holiness based on this. Okay? Because this is absolute insanity. All of the struggles that you've been through in life, every single one of them, is so you get better at going through struggles. Did you hear that? Every struggle you've been through that God has carried you through is so you get better at struggling with God. Because your entire life reaches some pinnacle point at some point where you no longer struggle with God, you just let God. And the moment that you're done struggling with him is the moment that you are guaranteed to yourself personally that you belong in his kingdom. That usually comes at the moment of death. This physical life is a struggle until the very end. But every struggle that you've gone through is so you get better at struggling with God. Verse 26, it says, do not fear. Do not fear them. Do not fear anyone. Do not fear anything. Do not fear them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. So you can make it. You can get fun of. You can get torn down. Your life can get destroyed. And there is going to come a point where you will literally be able to look at them and say, in the most Christian way possible, in the most loving way possible, I told you so. The only way that can happen is if you remember who God is. And instead of listening to other people, instead of working on your own understanding, you just do what he says. Verse 28 is the key. It says, do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Who's your master? That's your message for this morning. That's where I'm going to leave you in personal worship. Who is your master?
white as snow. Sin had left a crimson stain, and he washed it white as snow. Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, and he washed it white as snow. White as snow. White as snow. My sin had left a crimson stain, and he washed it white as snow.
No, that's all right. I hope y'all have a great day. I love you. Jesus loves you way more. I'm only smiling because I'm surrounded by the best people in the entire world. Literally. I'm well aware of that. I'm so glad y'all are here this morning. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. There is no Bible study this week because I'm a slacker. I'll be out of town on business. So we'll resume that next week. But there's a work party this Saturday coming up. Just show up. It's not that big of a deal, right? We're not asking you to build Taj Mahal. We just got a couple jobs. We need some bodies. We need some help so we can get this thing over here going. So that'll be this Saturday. I will send out reminders at the end of the week, hopefully, to those of you who are lucky enough that I have your contact information. But if you can come help, we'd appreciate it. Other than that, we will see you next Sunday. Remember, there's no Bible study this Wednesday and this Wednesday only. Go enjoy your Memorial Day weekend.
Hold on, is this really